What's up, everybody? Welcome back to On the Warpath. Sanchez 405 with you. And if you're new, make sure you click that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get those notifications anytime new content posted. And as always, like, comment, share this video because you know what we do. We talk Washington football Commanders all the time. Still getting used to that one as we are doing a new segment here. It's called Chain of Command, where we're going to talk to podcasters. We're going to talk to people in the media, and we're going to have a good old time. And for the inaugural, the maiden voyage to the Commander's quarters, we go as we bring in the man of full press coverage, Commanders, Washington Redskins, my guy, Mr. George Carmi. Brother George, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really good, man. Thank you for having me. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, brother. Happy to have you on here, and thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day. And you know, I've been on your channel a couple of times here, and y'all, you can follow George on Twitter at gcarmi21, and then also the YouTube channel for full press coverage. Commanders. Still Washington still on
it
there.
is, yep.
All in the bio and the links. Go check my brother out. And also, if you are on Twitter, we appreciate you stopping by as well. And George, we'll dive right into it, man. You know, you are a native. You live in the DMV. You live in Maryland. So this fandom is ingrained in you, like it's
100%.
I mean, it's like we're career chain smokers and we can't give it up no
100%,
matter how
man.
It's like the ultimate menthols. Like, and tell me what got you to being a fan of the burgundy and gold growing up and everything. What's those moments, those players you remember?
Yeah, so thank you for having me, Corey, man. You're definitely a good people. I want to meet you in person, actually. We talk a lot online and been talking, socially and on podcasts and stuff, but, definitely good people. We have a good connection here. Man, so, I just was born into it, man. So, I'm born in Rockville, Maryland, so I'm about, 30 minutes away from FedEx Field. I used to go to RFK as a little kid. What ended up happening for me is I have two older brothers, and I'm the baby boy. My brothers are 10 years older than me, 10 years and 8 years older than me. So I'm 37. I'm a little bit older than some of you guys. So basically, just growing up, I just had two older brothers that basically kind of just coached me up and kind of taught me to love the Washington football team with the Washington Redskins. Another kind of cool side fact is the biggest fan in my house is actually my mom, which is actually really awesome because, give me some big background. My parents immigrated to this country. I'm actually Middle Eastern. I'm Arabic. My parents came from Jerusalem, the Israel area, and they came over to America in the 1970s. And, just coming in, they just wanted to kind of assimilate to American culture and kind of catch the vibe of the city, catch the vibe of everybody. And they just happened to come here, and the Washington Redskins were kicking butt at that time. And they were like, you know what, my dad was a schmoozer. He passed away, unfortunately, a couple of years ago. My dad's my hero. He just could talk to anybody. He kind of gave me that gift of gab. So he basically would just, he watched the Washington Redskins. He would watch them, and we put it on TV. He would kind of watch the scores, not really know what's going on, but just kind of schmooze in the city. And he actually was an insurance salesman in Washington D.C. He would go knocking door to door. So that was kind of his getting in there to kind of talk about the Redskins, to basically talk about what's up, how's the Redskins game? You want to buy insurance? Kind of like that to kind of get it going. And what's up, Don? And what's up, Patrick? And basically, so my dad loved it. My mom understood English better, so she really loved the Washington football team. She's funny because she her favorite player is always the second quarterback, the backup quarterback. She loves Kirk Cousins. She liked Stan Humphries. She loved Gus Farag. She loved all those guys. And between my brothers and my mom, they just put me on, man. I've been watching my whole life, and I always loved sports. And in 8th grade, those graduation videos to high school, they're like, what do you want to be when you get older? And my video quote was, I want to be on ESPN. I want to be a sports broadcaster. I always just love football. And, that was my thing. And I got into it that way. And, I'm sure there's, I don't want to ramble on and on, but that's how I got into it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the That
So
mom
Roger.
got me. Mom got me into to it as well. My mom did. She's a big fan. I think I've superseded her in fandom. But I
Yeah.
like that jersey back there behind you.
The Gary
I
Clark.
like that. There you go.
Autograph too,
Yes,
baby. I love it.
indeed.
It's awesome.
Gary
Yeah.
Clark, Pulaski High School down here, not too far from where I live, about 2.5 hours up the road,
There
up
you go.
81. So hey, I like that. JMU and local Virginia boy. So but yeah, man, it's in the blood. It sounds like it. As one of my buddies would say, it's in the water. As G from the shop, we all 980 would say sometimes. But you mentioned before I even ask you, what did mom think of the name change? That's what I want to know.
It's hard for her, right? It's because she's still like, she has a real thick accent. She's like, commanders. Like, how do you feel about commanders? And I'm like, it's a good, mom. It's all good. We'll figure it out. So she basically kind of like, she's rolling with it. I think it's always going to be Washington to her, Redskins to her. It's just gonna, she's 77 years old now, but it's funny. Like, she'll call me after every game and she'll be like, Jordan Haskins sucks. And she'll just call me just to give some funny things like that. So, we talk about it, but like, I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but for me, it's like Commanders, I'll get used to it. I root for those. I root for the first name, man. I'm a DMV guy, so Washington is my city. So I'm going to represent every single team that comes out. They could be like the Washington Rainbow Warriors, man. I want to roll with them. I'll be like, I love the Rainbow Warriors. This is a roll with it. That's my city, man. So that's what I'm going to do. That's where I'm at,
Ah, man, we'd be throwing glitter on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Exactly, 100%. We won,
But yeah, but you mentioned about your mom too. She talks about loving the second quarterback.
Yeah.
And the old adage is, if you have multiple quarterbacks, you don't have any. And there is, for the second year in a row, we are trying to lick the plate of success from established quarterbacks, and it looks like it's 3 blue chip quarterbacks that may be available, but all have very different and very unique, I guess we want to say red flags and circumstances.
Yeah.
Of course we know that Deshaun Watson has his legal issues or whatever they are. And now he's going to have to deal with Lovie Smith's beard. We got Aaron Rodgers and his very eclectic nature. And then Dangerous Wilson,
100%.
Bringing Sierra to the nation's capital. I mean, what for me, being like, I love the history of this franchise too. Like, not just the current, I love the past, and I can count on my one hand how many franchise quarterbacks we've had. So
you can argue none, dude. You can argue none, to be honest with you. I mean to hate our lifelong fan.
Right.
Yeah, like Mark Rippon, like Joe Theismann, Doug Williams. They're all kind of flashes in the pan. They were only here for about a year or two. I'd argue maybe Sonny Jurgensen was one of our franchise quarterbacks. Who else? Sammy Ball way back in the day. We're talking about like the 20th century. We're talking about a long time ago. It's not really habitual to have a franchise quarterback in here. But Corey, before I answer to jump into the quarterback issue, how do you feel about Commanders? I haven't talked to you about it yet. You feeling it? How do you feel about it? Yeah.
You know what? I was over the name change debate in August of 2020. I didn't care. I just wanted a name. It didn't really, like I said, I'm like you. I root for the front of the name. I didn't really like this logo. It's my team. It's my history and everything. But I just didn't want the colors to change at the end of the day. That was the only thing. And I know a lot of you heathens love that black on the white jersey and everything. And I'm still gonna pray for you guys at night. I do the same thing every day. I'm more mad at this. I'm more mad at that black on that white jersey than most of these people getting these letters.
And I'm the minority. So we'll talk about that too. But I'm the minority on that. For like, I love like just the way I am and my skin tone and my features. I love black. I'm wearing all black right now. So I don't really mind rocking a little bit of black on the outlines. Like, that's not a problem for me. But I know like it's been a hot debate. I'll put it out there, and basically people, the heater, they're mad. They want more gold in the jerseys. So we can talk about that. I saw I don't know what the comment for John Riggins was. I'm kind of curious. I think somebody said that like John Riggins doesn't want his jersey on the Commanders. Like he doesn't want his name on the Commanders jersey. I think that's what Spider Monkey was saying. I'll take the lead on that, Courtney. We can go back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's kind of a hard one. If you got to respect his opinion. He basically, he's a Washington Redskins legend. He's a Redskins legend. He basically, he probably has the most iconic play in Washington history, right? That football, that 70 chip. He basically stiff armed that guy, scored a touchdown, won the game for us, right? If that's what he wants, that's what he deserves, right? He deserves to go that route. I actually proposed this comment like when it first happened, right? I was like, hey, how do you guys feel about, I put a Twitter poll up, and I was like, how do you feel about having legends having Commanders jerseys? Like, what do you guys think as a fan base? I believe it was about 60-40. People were in favor of it, right? Because they want to have that connection to the past. And like, I don't really know how I feel about it. I think, obviously, John Reagan, I respect him. I do think the business side of the Washington football team, they had to let that legacy, they had to have the jerseys kind of cross over, because if they didn't, there would have been an uproar, and the fan base would have been really angry. They would have been, this is an expansion team. I don't necessarily like this. Why are you doing this? So I can see that angle with it. For me, I guess, if I'm looking at it, I do think they should keep the jerseys continuous, right? Like Sean Taylor jerseys and stuff like that to kind of keep the memory going. And that keeps that line going. But I do see that oddity that's going on. Go ahead. What do you guys say?
Yeah. I thought about this too, and I even said on your channel last week. I said, keep that. They're Redskins, and that's fine. That's fine if you want to keep them Redskins, and nothing's stopping you from creating a jersey of Sean Taylor.
That's true.
On the NFL shop when they get stuff that's not for people who look like they're malnourished right now. But I'm still mad. That's what I'm more mad about, is that they don't have like anything above 2X right now.
Yeah, I saw that tweet you put out there.
That shirt is sharp that you're wearing right now.
I love it. It's a nice shirt, man. It really is a nice shirt. I love it. I wear it all the time. It's nice. Yeah.
But if they want to, if they want to leave it like that, that's fine by me. I believe that, in this transition, you have to stick to somewhat of tradition. And then we're in a world today where everybody's going to complain about, and nobody's happy about anything. But you know what I'm happy about? I'm happy for the people that are in here. Shout out to Roger Smith. Shout out to Awesomeness Sports. Patrick West.
Love it.
What's up? Dump Truck Don. We've got somebody posing as Dan Snyder. Hey, send us a jacket if that's the real Dan Snyder, right?
Hit me up, extra large.
Let's see. What's up, Anna? How you doing, sweetie? And then King Ivo, what's up? DMV Sports Zone, the official DC fan of Matt Stafford. Roger, what's up? Let's see who else we got. Joe Theismann was league MVP. What's up? Hey, yeah, no love. That's right. No love for the Fluffy Brothers. They can't keep our throwbacks away from the diehards. They have to keep making gear from the past. I believe so. What's up, Mrs. Bergang? How you doing? Everybody, everybody's favorite Cowboy fan on here, Ready Red. How you doing, guys? I appreciate Soulmander, and I appreciate. Is it true Jason Wright will take our input to design the fourth uniform? That's what he says, and
that's what I've heard. I've heard that actually too.
Take him at face value. Rockman, what's
up, Rockman? What's up, bud?
And so yeah, and we kind of transition back into that quarterback conversation there.
Yep.
Give me who do you want? Are you part of the crowd that wants Russell Wilson? Do you think maybe there's a shot at Aaron Rodgers, even though Nathaniel Hackett's out there in Denver, or by some unholy mess, Deshaun Watson comes a calling to the burning and gold?
All right, so I'll break them all down, all three of them, right? Let's start off with Aaron Rodgers, right? I think Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback of them all, right? He's also the most volatile, right? I would love to have Aaron Rodgers come to Washington. I don't necessarily see it. And he's the most out there, right? Like I don't fault him. I kind of like having people to have personalities, and I do respect individuality. So more power to him. But him coming to Washington would it would be awesome for 1 year, but who is to say that he'd come for 1 year and then leave after another? Like Aaron Rodgers is so unpredictable. I have no idea how I feel about him. Like he'll be the best quarterback we've ever had, but at the same time, he is volatile. Long time ago, with the minimal connections that I do have, I heard that he was looking to go out west. Denver was on his radar. A kind of a dark horse is actually the 49ers, believe it or not, because he grew up a 49ers fan just his entire life, and throwing Trey Lance back to the Packers could be part of that trade package or whatever they want to do to basically get him over there. Could even be a possibility. Could you imagine Aaron Rodgers with Kyle Shanahan at a quarterback with that defense? It'd be ridiculous, right? So that there is an option there. I heard, Aaron Rodgers is a gamer, but going to the AFC West is kind of intimidating, right? You have Justin Herbert basically on the Chargers. You have Patrick Mahomes there with the Chiefs. It's definitely a competitive division, so maybe it might not be the wisest decision because Lamar Jackson there, right. And Burrow. There's a whole bunch of competitive quarterbacks over the AFC. So that's Aaron Rodgers. If he came here, great. I would love it, but I'd be worried as hell for him to come over here.
Deshaun, to Georgetown over there. They got all the stuff he needs to blaze up down there. So.
He can do whatever he wants. He can try to pass some bills, and he's being real political these days out in DC. He can do whatever he wants to do down here. But I don't know about all that. Deshaun Watson, he's really appealing because of his age and his upside, his mobility. You could do whatever you want with him. I would be open to it, but at the same time, there's so much baggage that comes along with him. I think we would just get absolutely slaughtered. Like that's something like we're going to talk about Jonathan Allen a little bit later on in our podcast. Just a little small like provocativeness, like he just said Hitler, that one little word, and boom, it exploded. Right? Could you imagine having a habitual sexual harasser or an alleged sexual harasser come to a team that is known for sexually harassment? Yeah, it's like there's symmetry there, but I don't know if we want to go that route. You know what I'm saying? I think we should probably stay away from that. So I think realistically, like for me, I don't think it's an option. Like for me, like logically, you'd say no, Watson's not coming to DC. But I talked to Chris Russell on my podcast. I had a couple other people, and they were like, he's in play, which is kind of surprising to me. So like the Watson, they are they are investigating that. My number one overall choice, so you can check the receipts on Twitter for a very long time now, has been Russell Wilson. I've always wanted Russell Wilson. Dangerous, man. And he, it's so funny, my trajectory with him. I hated him in 2012. Like when he came in, it was like RG3 versus Russell Wilson. And I was like, you know what? Like I'm an RG3 guy. I don't like Russell Wilson. I wasn't really about that. And, Legion of Boom is running their mouth. I wasn't a big fan. But as time went on, I simply respected him because he's a winner, man. And he just, for me, he's appealing. He's 34, 33, something along those lines, at least 5 years ahead of him. At least he basically has led a run first team, with Chris Carson and Marshawn Lynch. He's led one of those. He's led a defensive minded team. He's been on a team where you have to basically let Russ cook and put the passing game on his back. He's done that as well. So basically he's seen it all. He's been in championship games and playoff games. I do like experience and clutchness and leadership, and he has all of those. And then the final factor is look it up online, or I can post it later on tonight. He actually really takes care of his body. He actually it's like infamously or famously known for having like $1 million performance team where he sleeps in a hyperbolic chamber. He has a nutritionist. He has a personal masseuse. He has all those things that's keeping his body at 100%. Operational. So I think he does have longevity. I can see him playing to 40. So, having 5-7 years of Russell Wilson in DC would be fantastic. I love that. So, and then, it might be worth pushing the chips in because we'd have a legit quarterback, would be an instant playoff contender. And, he would draw free agents, which I also think would be very awesome.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting you say that too, before we get into the price tag. Paulie, my bad, brother. I didn't mean to overlook you. Linda, I hope you're doing all right. Hope you're feeling better from the COVID case.
What's up, Linda?
Merrill, he says he thinks they have a deal done, just haven't announced it yet.
That'd be great.
So, Merrill. Fresh
Montana, love that name.
We will trade for Jimmy G. Just wait. Nah, I don't think that's gonna happen. It's Kyle Shanahan, y'all. Y'all know we don't stand.
That's true,
Kyle
Don.
Shanahan here.
That's true, Don.
Watson was good. Yep. John Allen, we'll get into that in a minute. Nati, of course, I'm going to disagree with you to a certain degree on that, like I typically do. Houston has 5 weeks straight, yep, because the league new year is, I think, is it St. Patrick's Day again? Like it is?
Somewhere around in March, yeah, you're right.
He's got Sierra. That's enough for him. Yep, and
he's winning off the field. He's doing pretty good.
There you go. Yimmy could be in the running for ownership there. Russell has all the things Watson wants, especially personal
Masseuse.
Lord have mercy. The rumors Brady come back have already said. I don't think that's going to happen. No, that's
Nah, he's
not
gonna take at
gonna
least
happen.
1 year off. I think I agree.
What are you willing to give up for Russell Wilson?
So that's a lot, right? So
Mhm.
John Keim actually had an interesting proposition on his podcast. He was talking to the ESPN Seattle reporter, and he offered 2 firsts, like, this year's first, next year's first, and then 2 seconds. And basically the Seattle reporter rejected it, right? Which is pretty wild. I think, you can try to offer that, maybe 2 firsts, 2 seconds, maybe throw in Deron Payne or something like that to basically make a catalyst for a trade. It will be very scary. I mean, if this will do this, then maybe 3 first-round picks, man, and that's actually really scary to even think about. But that's the maximum that I would go for. Maybe 2 firsts and Montez Sweat, because he would be technically a 3rd first-round pick. But I love Montez Sweat. Chase Young is the golden boy around here. Maybe he's not nowadays with the last year, but I think Montez Sweat can be just as good. Like, everyone's like, Chase Young is that generational talent. Maybe I'm overseeing Montez Sweat, but I just think he is a physical freak. He's huge. He's tall. He's long. He's fast. Like, the only thing stopping Montez Sweat from being a 10, 15 sack guy would be his work ethic and his potential. I'm not saying he doesn't have that. I'm saying that's his only limitation. Sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want. So, it would be hard to swallow, but at the same time, guys, it's proven in the NFL that there's multiple ways to be successful. Like, for years and years and years, we've been trying to build throughout the draft, trying these little like stakeholder bridge quarterbacks and kind of going that route. It hasn't been working, right? The Rams are kind of the outlier right now. They're kind of pushing their chips into the pot and giving away first-round picks, but getting this really star talent to basically win now, and it's working, right? So, maybe instead of like stockpiling our draft picks and kind of going that route, maybe we can push on the chips for Russell Wilson and then be more of a spender in the market and just try that for a couple of years and see what happens. But I do think if we got Russell Wilson, I do think we'd be instant playoff contenders. I do think we'd be like, us and the Cowboys would be the division favorites next year.
Merrill, don't. In the words of Lawrence Taylor and the Waterboy, don't do crack. You better than that, brother. Don't do that. I just don't think Russ will come here. See that, and that's another thing. People think he will not come here because I guess the perception, especially in the media, we're the running, we're the punchline, and we are the Saturday Night Live opening act. This is exactly what it is every time. It's to punch the Redskins, punch the football team, punch the Commanders.
It is, man. It's been for a while, unfortunately.
Yeah, somebody said sign Trubisky and wait till next year to draft the court. See, you can't see this, and this is where I kind of lose track of a lot of people. You have a team built that can be effective. Like it's the quarterback. Like it's a lot of people that I say, Brandon Sheriff. Like, and we'll get to in our last section.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
but if you lose Brandon Sheriff, you need a more competent quarterback to go out there and kind of, because they will fix those holes or those flaws, those deficiencies that sometimes you have in there. You have Kirk Cousins, who was behind that line. You've had below average quarterback play since Kirk Cousins was there. He's the best quarterback by far. Behind the offensive line with Sheriff. Now, it's not a knock on Sheriff or anything like that, but you cannot pay that. Siri's trying to talk in the background too.
Sorry.
But
no worries.
You just can't. Sometimes it kind of outweighs everything, and I'm like, we need a better quarterback that's a little bit more competent and that is a little limber on the feet. Now, I'm not talking about Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson, but I want somebody who is not afraid to run, but will throw the ball and will throw first and legitimately be a throw first quarterback, but uses that escapability. He's not going to be a track star.
One thing I want to say, Corey, I think Brennan Sheriff, right? I think we can get away with not having him. I know people like him. He was our first All-Pro in a very long time. But, we ended up being like 4 guards deep, 4 centers deep this year. I think we can get away with him. I think we have great offensive line coaching. So, I sort of slightly disagree. Like, Brendan Sheriff is a good player. Where he thrives is in the run game. He's an awesome puller. He's a great, like, you're doing a jet sweep, not jet sweep, you're doing a toss to the right, or maybe to a screen. He's good in that regard. But I think past Blackwell, we can get away with him. And guards aren't a high value position. No. Like, I'll be honest with you, like we drafted him 5th overall, and Scott McCloughan was like, oh, he's a football player and whatever. And I was like, you know what? Like, I thought we wasted that pick. I thought it was a reach at 5, and I thought like it was supposed to be a tackle. We whiffed on that. He dropped. I mean, number 5 overall pick for Brendan Sheriff, being a trade back or do something. But like that class in general was weak, so that's the only reason I can't go too crazy with it. But like, I think we can survive without Brendan Sheriff, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Even though I know a lot of people point to, well, you don't.
What's up, Brett? I see Brett, my boy, right there on the bottom of the chat.
Shout out!
Yeah, Texans. Yeah, what's up, Brett?
I sort of kind of like that trade, but I'm not. I can't give away all those guys, because Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson would solve 2 of the biggest deficiencies on this team: the quarterbacks on both sides of the ball. So
Bobby Wagner's a good player. Yeah. He's older now. I wonder how. I'll look it up how old he is. He's pretty old, but
32, I think he is.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's a little bit younger than Russ. Of course, I know you probably watched the Senior Bowl. You watched the Senior Bowl practice and everything. Our boy Josh Taylor, shout out to Josh, was out there covering it, and he has made me fall in love with Sam Howell a little bit. But the true story is Malik Willis, which I think maybe he has sold himself up. So if Washington doesn't trade up and say, I still think I would go middle linebacker at 11. I know our guy Nate. He would tell us, no, you don't go linebacker that high. But I said,
Nate Coleman,
Nate Coleman would tell us that. But at 11, one of these quarterbacks sitting here, do you pull the trigger on any of these guys?
I say no question, man. I think you do. I think even if you do, like, I think it was Roger, I think he said, maybe mentioned that, get Trubisky or get a bridge quarterback for this year. If you do that, you still use the 1st round pick on a quarterback. And I know it's like, I know like the people are arguing that this class may not be the best class or anything like that, but I think you do have to keep taking your shots and keep just putting, give it your best go, because I think a 1st round pick, because like, we moved away from that rookie pay scale like a couple of years ago. I don't know if you guys remember, but like Matt Stafford was the number 1 overall pick. He basically like held out for training camp, and he was arguing for like a bigger signing bonus. Those guys were getting like $40-50 million a year to play, right? We whiffed on Dwayne Haskins. We whiffed on, right now. I'm not even going to say this, but like Jamin Davis wasn't necessarily the impact player his first year. Those 1st round picks aren't like, it stinks to basically have them not be successful, but if they hit, it's going to blow up, right? So if you have a quarterback that blows up and you basically successful with that one lottery ticket that you put out there, I say you give it a shot, right? And it also depends on who's out there. We'll talk about them, I'm sure, but like, I've loved Kenny Pickett for a very, very long time. He's the one day 1 star that is in this class. If you actually watch him, he's fundamentally sound, man. I remember like I watched him like a long time ago. It was like it was University of Pittsburgh versus Liberty, and it was like Malik Willis versus Kenny Pickett. Like, let's give it a shot. And I watched that game like in November, and I was like, I watched Pickett, and I fell in love instantly. I was like, dude, he looks like an NFL quarterback. Like his lower half, he's breaking down he's got the perfect posture. He has that arm elasticity. He's throwing it pretty well. Even when he's like disrupted, he'll kind of get back to his position again. He looked pretty good. And I was like, you know what? I can see him being like, I was like, why aren't people talking about him as the top pick? And then he started to gain momentum and became very popular. Willis is interesting, right? Like I've watched some Willis tape, and his tape is a roller coaster. I hope Washington fans know that, because I think like there's people that just watch tape and grind. I'm like in the middle. I'm not like a super grinder. I'm not like naive to everybody. So like what I want people that aren't exposed to Malik Willis is that his tape is all over the place. He has that innate like huge arm, and he's very twitchy and fast. But at the same time, there's some plays where it's like, what the hell was that? It's messy. Like it's totally inaccurate, missing the player. It'll be a cover 2. He doesn't read it right, throws a bad interception, or he'll be quick to run. So there basically is like, there is some concern with him. He's not developed yet. He could potentially not play for like 8-9 games next year, like even if you draft him. But the one thing that's intriguing to me about Malik Willis is he has that innate upside, that like he has that super quality. Like one thing that changed my mind was watching that Chiefs Bills division game in the playoffs. And you just saw Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes going at it, and it was like they're like running, and it's like, you know, Josh Allen's like running like full speed, like it feels like 60, 70 yards. His arm is just that ridiculous. And it was like, you can't teach that, right? So it's like, do you want a player that's like, like I want like a Joe Flacco type, he's like pretty solid, or do I want like to roll the dice on like a Lamar Jackson type or Kyler Murray type? And that's where like the league's kind of going too. So if it's like, if you get Malik Willis and you get a QB coach that develops him, and you basically like, even maybe next year, you kind of like have Heineke, maybe Willis will be like certain packages, like in like third down or like goal line packages to get his feet wet, and you develop him well, then that upside, that's the intriguing part about him. So that's why I mean, I would take Pickett, I would take Willis. If I got Willis, I'd be pretty excited. I'd be like, you know what, we have something like, we have a little something special in the pocket, I think.
Yeah, I look at these quarterbacks. I watched Hal's tape against up there against Pittsburgh. I watched a little bit of Kenny Pickett with JT O'Sullivan, and then I watched the Old Miss game with
Corral.
Malik Willis. With Malik Willis. I watched that game with him, and I thought I saw a lot of good things he did. He seemed like he always kept his eyes downfield, and I think it's something that would aid him well at the next level. And that offensive line was terrible.
Yeah, it was awful
in that game.
Sam Howell got drilled too. He had a really bad offensive line too.
He did, and his pieces were, he should have just did the Dax Milne thing, right? Because he knew Zach Wilson was going to be there. I'm going to draft a year early. He could have stayed there at BYU, because BYU was still pretty good this year. But he was like, I'm going to go. Sam Howell should have done that and came out of the draft. And Kenny Pickett, Pro Football Focus, I know it's not God, but they always have a lot of detail on the upcoming class before the college football season starts. Kenny Pickett was nowhere on there.
Yeah.
Sam Howell wasn't really on there. They had like Spencer Rattler and all these guys who decided to stay. So, I think it's really interesting how the ebbs and flows go. I personally, just because the guy's a winner, I like Desmond Ridder. Now, I don't know what that would translate into at the NFL level. I thought he left a lot on the field to be desired against Alabama. Granted, I know it's Alabama. Don't get me wrong, but I felt like he left a lot there. Carson Strong has a big arm, but those knees, I think at quarterbacks in the NFL, it seems like they're always out because of two injuries, either the shoulder or the knees. And that's a problem that he has there. And I don't really know if you want to roll that risk, especially on this carpet behind me. Lord have mercy.
Notorious FedEx Field, or Commander Center, or whatever we call it in a couple of years, but whatever. I think so going back to Desmond Ridder, I think Malik Willis and Desmond Ridder probably did the best in regard to like driving up their draft stack in the Whopper Junior hands. That's hilarious. Basically at the Senior Bowl, Desmond Ridder has he has NFL size, right? I believe he's 6'4", 220. He's mobile. He has potential. He's been a winner in college. He put up a lot of stats. I think there are some things he has to correct. I heard he basically like his posture in the pocket, which is kind of silly. Like I had Ian Cummings on basically my podcast the other day, and he did a really excellent job on my podcast. But he was kind of breaking things down. He's a draft analysis for Pro Football Network. He talked about how like Desmond Ridder would kind of run back. He'd have scissor feet. But I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. But basically, like while you're stepping back, he basically would cross your legs, which is easy to knock over or be all like unstable when you're throwing the ball. So that was definitely a deficit of Ridder. But I think he did do pretty well. I think he's going to probably project as maybe an early second-round pick. So maybe, Washington could maybe be that one team that gets a linebacker at 11 or wide receiver at 11, then gets Ridder in the second round. So that's intriguing. Strong, I actually heard, Strong as a rocket, as an arm. Yeah. But he showed some inaccuracies at the Senior Bowl. And from what I understand, he had some pretty bad interviews. I heard NFL teams kind of walked away like, I don't know if I like him leading our team. So it kind of was something that was kind of eye-opening to me. So like, walking away from the Senior Bowl, I would say Malik Willis definitely earned his spot. Desmond Ridder kind of rose a little bit. Carson Strong went down a little bit, from my perspective.
Yeah. And Carson Strong kind of reminds me a little bit of a Ryan Mallett type too.
Big boy,
Big Stonebrook. I don't know if he parties like Ryan Mallett did, but Merrill says you can't keep Heineke, too much money for a backup quarterback if Washington gets Wilson. I I don't think
he's not that much. He's like $4 million or something. Like they really isn't. He isn't too much.
They signed him a $4 million contract, so that he'd only be like
he's something like this. A couple million. It's less than 10, which is less than double digits. It's not a big deal for me. Yeah,
it's not gonna be that bad. Roger says get a bridge quarterback there. Matt Corral ends up with the right team and becomes the next Lamar Jackson. Don't come crying back to me saying we should have drafted him because that's what's going. I don't know if he's going to be the next Lamar Jackson. Let's go. Let's be easy on this. And what's up, Dubs? How you doing, brother?
What's up, Dubs?
And it kind of echo what we're talking about. And now the reason why we are so jealous, the man that we broke right before Thanksgiving, Joe Burrow, is in the Super Bowl. He takes on the lovable loser from Detroit and one Matthew Stafford. They meet in Super Bowl 56. Al Michaels' probably final game on NBC, probably his final Super Bowl. But the home game is once again in the NFC's favor. What in the world did you think of these two teams rising up? It seemed like they've done it very differently, but very similar in the same thing. Don't forget, Cincinnati, I think people fail to realize Cincinnati put a lot of money in free agents on that defense this year. They might not be your household names. And then the Rams have been doing it. They've drafted a lot of these players that are on their team are drafted players by them. But the cornerstones, we're focusing on your Von
Millers and
Beckhams,
Odell Beckham's.
And then they have the best defensive player, in my opinion,
Jalen Ramsey. I love Ramsey. Ramsey gets a lot of hate. I love
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald's ridiculous.
Aaron Donald. I know Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, Aaron Donald's a beast. But yeah, Jalen Ramsey gets a lot of hate. We can talk about that in a little bit too. But yeah, Aaron Donald's like our generation's best player. It's fun watching him play. But yeah, but what was your question? What were you trying to ask?
Yeah, so what do you think about this matchup? I guess when we look at it, what are some? And you actually have an article out on full press coverage about top 5 offensive weapons, and I couldn't agree more with you on the top one. And I'm not going to tell you who it is because y'all need to go and check the article.
My man, thank you, sir.
There you go. I'm not going to bleed on there, but what are some either players or position matchups are you looking at in this Super Bowl? Like what could probably be the defining battle that may win the game, may lose the game for these teams?
So for one, I'm really excited about this matchup altogether. I like the breaking up of the dynasties, right? Like going into this, again, if I put my money on, like I actually made a little bracket of the playoffs, and I predicted it was going to be the Packers versus the Chiefs. That was like my prediction going into the Super Bowl, and things kind of fell apart last minute, but I'm happy for that. I kind of like that diversity of teams. I do like seeing the Rams. I do like seeing the Bengals. I think the big matchup is going to be the defensive line for the Rams versus the offensive line of the Bengals. I think the offensive line is one of the worst in the league in regard to the Bengals. They're like center and right guard combination, I believe, is like the worst in PFF's like rankings, or maybe second worst in the league. And they basically gave up 9 sacks, I believe. Was it last game against the Chiefs?
Yeah.
They gave up 9 sacks and basically
against the Bengals, against the Titans.
Okay, there you go. Well, they gave them 9 sacks there, and basically Joe Burrow was constantly berated over and over again. So that's going to be an issue there. I think that's definitely going to be an issue. I think can the Bengals defense actually hold it down? Can they stop Matt Stafford? I believe they're about 18th ranked in the league. They're not necessarily like elite at anything. And they're basically their pass defense. They have good safeties, but in regard to like Eli Apple and their other corner, like they're not like shutdown corners. And Cooper Kupp, basically, I love Cooper Kupp. For my opinion, he's one of the best. He had an awesome all-pro year, the Triple Crown as a wide receiver. It's going to be fun. Yeah, he's awesome. So it's going to be really cool to kind of watch him thrive. So I think he will. What's that? Drafted player, yeah.
Drafted player too. Farm league right there for you.
He's gonna eat, dude. So Cooper Kupp's gonna eat. He's gonna basically do like he's gonna have like he averages almost double-digit targets per game, like 10, 12, 13 targets a game. He'll probably walk away 8 catches, 80 yards, maybe a touchdown or something like that. He's gonna do something big. And then Odell Beckham rises to the occasion. He's been on fire. Like when I was writing that article, I was like, should I include him in the top 5? I was like, yeah, maybe he hasn't earned that stripes yet, but he scored, I think he's been on the Bengals for maybe 8 games and scored 6 touchdowns in 8 games or something along those lines. And like he's definitely shining too. So like my matchup would be the defensive line of the Rams versus the offensive line of the Bengals, and then can basically like the actual Bengals defense contain the explosiveness of the Rams, because I do think Matt Stafford's going to try to air it out a little bit and basically try to eat a little bit. Personally, I'm rooting for the Bengals. I don't know if that was going to be a question later on. I'm rooting for the Bengals, man. Like
I am too.
Yeah, like if the Rams win, more power to him. Matt Stafford, I love him. I don't have any animosity towards Sean McVay, but for me, it's like, Bengals are fun. They're exciting. I empathize with the Bengals fans. Like I kind of see them and us, and like they've been rough. They've been going through a lot of stuff, and it's kind of nice to see them rise. And it's something different. Why not? Let them win. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Shout out to Toothpick in there. Don't forget First String Podcast. Got a special guest Super Bowl champion coming on there here in a little bit. But yeah, I think the Bengals, it's something about the energy behind the Bengals. Like it's wild. I went to Cincinnati during the summer and went to a Reds game, and went to 2 actually. And
Cool.
we were in there, and it was just like it's a fun little city. It's a fun city. It's not too big. It's not too small. And like they just want it's blue collar type people that just want to see a champion. They've been deprived of a champion since 1990. I believe it was 1990 when the Reds last won the World Series. They've seen the Bengals get blitzed by the 49ers in the Super Bowl as long enough to remember that. So it is they got their quarterback, an Ohio bred born kid from Athens, Ohio. Shout out Ohio University, which his dad was defense coordinator there. And it's something about this kid that you just like. You like him. He seemed like he does all the right things, and I can't really say that about too many other quarterbacks. And then opposed to Matt Stafford, I've been wrong about Matt Stafford all season. I think he's an average quarterback that went on a super team. I've thought that, but evidently enough, that's what he needed. And he's got that team. He's got the defense. He's got a coach that'll work with him now. So hey, more power to him there. But I in spite of my despise of Matt Stafford comes more from Kelly than it does him, more than anything, throwing pretzels on people. And but no,
I like Matt. I think Matt Stafford got a rifle, dude. I think Matt Stafford got a gun. So I like him a lot. And I kind of like. I am rooting for him because he spent a lot of years with some really bad teams in Detroit, and that basically kind of hampered his ceiling. And it's tough, man. Like the NFC North has some sort of curse, man. They've had some of the best players in the entire NFL history, and they've ruined them, and they made them retire early, man. Like Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders on the Lions, basically Adrian Peterson, Adrian Peterson, Randy Moss, continued throughout. But it's like, come on, they had those awesome players, and they couldn't do much without them. So you're the Tiger, go Bengals. Yeah, I can see that.
And off topic here, before we get back to it, ask how you guys got where you are making content and having podcasts. George, I'll let you take that one.
Cool, man. Thank you. So I don't know if you caught the beginning of this podcast, but it's just something I always wanted to do, man. I was always interested in it. Like I have pictures like in high school, like, you see like little ads, Brian Mitchell, Irving Fryer, Daniel Stubblefield, they're going to be like at these different bars and restaurants. Come say hi to them. I'll go drive with my friends and like go find these little Washington events and talk to them. And I just always was interested in it. And I actually went to University of Maryland. I was a journalism major for my first 2 years there. I eventually got into education, so I'm actually like a teacher now. But basically, I do have a journalism background. I wrote for my school newspaper at high school. I was, I started off writing and broadcasting at the University of Maryland, but then I had a career change. But then, it's always been in my heart. It's been a passion of mine since I was in middle school. I loved it. And basically, what happened was, about 5 years ago, something along the lines of that. Basically, I saw an ad pop up on Twitter, and this guy in Glendon for full press coverage was like, I'm looking for writers. I'm looking for someone to basically write for full press coverage Washington, full press coverage Redskins at the time. I joined a team, and I basically was writing for the team, and kind of like I was writing for free for years, man, like 3-4 years, kind of writing. And basically, what ended up happening was basically the head guy of full press coverage Redskins, he kind of shaded out, kind of did his own thing, and they're like, who wants to be the editor now? Like, I'll take it over. So basically, I took it over. Yeah, I got some other people to kind of join and right below me. The cool part about this is actually like I started writing articles, like flashback articles for full press coverage, and I caught the attention of like Chris Russell and Rick Snyder, a couple other guys, and they basically were like, "Hey George, like we're looking for like new faces and for Sports Illustrated. Do you want to start writing for Sports Illustrated?" So for about a year, I started writing for Sports Illustrated. Some of the coolest, like that was a dream of mine. I really loved doing
That's
it.
awesome.
Yeah, and it was so cool. Like one time, like I wrote one article. I think it was like Dwayne Haskins, something about like his projection is like third year or something like that, and it got 200,000 views. But dude, this is bonkers. I'm like this random dude from Rockville writing articles, and people are checking out these articles. But then basically COVID hit. The economy dropped, and I got laid off from Sports Illustrated, and then eventually went back to full press coverage. And Ian was like, "Hey George, you talk a lot. You're pretty outgoing. Why don't you start a podcast? You do pretty good with it." I'm like, you know what? All right, I'll give it a shot. I never thought I'd be on camera. I never thought I would do this, but then I've done it, and I've met a lot of cool people like you, Corey, and a couple other people in this, this industry, in this little clique, and basically, and then it's fun. I have a good time. Like when I look forward to it. I'm just talking sports, and I learn from you, learn from other people. So it's been fun. So that's how I got into it.
Yeah, and I kind of. I did this honestly. I started this as a joke, right? I was sitting at a bar with a buddy. He's like, you have a lot of opinions about the then Redskins, and you should just like go, because they saw me watch games and stuff, and they were like, you're like really invested. I said, yeah, I am, but I said I don't think I like talking to people, but I said I don't think that this is like I don't think this is for me. But I got in there. I got on my cell phone. It was about it was Chris Cooley talking about the RG3 situation after he left back in 2016. We're getting ready to go on year 6 here next month. And I was like, I just said, he just needs to shut up, leave it alone, blah, 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 move on. And from that, it kind of caught steam. And I was like, huh? Like I said, people are interested in what I'm saying. And like,
man.
I'm like, I confess, people know this about me. I'm not the biggest X and O's guy, but I know relationships and I know people. I studied communications in college, so I know what works and what stinks, and I know what I see on the field too, and I know how to correct. I know how it should be corrected, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where it came from, and then like the people like the subscribers and people like you that I've met, Rio, Kyle, all these other guys that have been on it. It's like it's fuel, it's energy. It's like just this weird energy about, and knowing that there are sick and twisted people in this world that are diehards of this fan,
100%, man. Yeah,
this team like me, and
it connects us, man.
Yeah, it does, and it is. I always say it's 60. I told Anna this a long time ago, and here's the joke, and she knows this. I said, Sunday she would always ask me to do things, and I said, you know what? I said, Sundays that's
off
my
limits,
time.
man.
I said the Redskins were here before you, and if you want to, they can be here after you. Little did I know that's not the case, and now they're the Commanders.
That's so funny.
If y'all want to blame somebody for the name change, blame Anna for that later on.
so real quick, man, I'll give you a compliment. You're natural at this, and you do a really good job. So don't ever be discouraged. You definitely, we met a couple of times here. I can talk to you for hours, man. You definitely got that personality. You're outgoing. You're hilarious. So don't ever be discouraged. And I want to throw it to anyone that's listening right now. Exactly. Like you'll never get any hate for me, because I do think it takes a little bit to put yourself out there, to be a podcaster, to write. It's very easy to criticize and be like, oh, these guys are clowns, why are they doing this, whatever. But it takes a lot to have the courage to do it. So go for it. If you like it, if you want to get your opinions out, go for it. And basically you're going to struggle at first, but you're going to get practice, you'll get better and better, and we're here for you, man. That's what we're here for. So we're basically going to look out for each other and do it, man. It's a lot of fun. For me, my biggest thing is actually learn every time I come on. That's my favorite part. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I love
that's it. Anna's hating on you right now. Awesome. What's up, Anna? What up?
That's what you get for talking.
That's funny.
And speaking of hate and everything, our boy, number 93, looks great.
Okay, he does. Looks fantastic.
George, this is why I wanted you on here. You're a history teacher, and Jonathan Allen. He wants to invite his granddaddy, Michael Jackson, and Hitler.
Yeah.
Well, and I said, I'm like, I don't know if you've ever seen Good Times. My old people know what Good Times.
Okay, I know about Good. I didn't watch it that much growing up, but I know about Good Times. Yeah, go ahead.
Would always choke up when James died, and she slammed that glass on the floor, and she's like, damn, damn. I'm not mad at him saying what he said because I understood where he was coming from, right? But you got to read the room, bruh. Your owner, whatever you think about Daniel Mark Snyder, your owner, your owner is Jewish. You can't, you got to read the room, brother.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
Smarter than John Allen is smarter than that. That's where I fell off him. And you can say, he wasn't wrong. He was wrong. Whatever. I don't really care. But I was just disappointed that he didn't read the room. Like, dude, that's like me going in another history lesson. That's like me if I had a white friend, right, who's like, you know who I want to invite to dinner? I want to invite Michael Jackson, my uncle, and George Wallace to a doggone, and not George Wallace at NBC Washington, WTV. I'm talking about the governor from Alabama.
Yeah.
Like what, bro?
Really? Yeah, it's not a good look.
I wasn't at BET, but I want to invite George Wallace to the daggone dinner. I don't know, but that's my take on that. What did you think about when you saw that?
So I'm going to answer this question, but I'm going to throw a question that I want you to ponder while I'm doing this, right? Who are the 3 people you'd eat dinner with? Think about that while I'm doing my answer real quick, all right? So for me, I didn't mind it, man. I know I might get some heat for that, but I agree with you. It is in this climate, in this Twitter world where it's easy to kind of get mad at people and to I'm not a dude. I live in Montgomery County. We're pretty we're pretty liberal and stuff like that. I'm not a cancel culture guy, but
right.
I can see where he's coming from. I think he was he comes from a military background. He probably was this guy was insane. He was an evil man. Basically, he led an army. He did a lot of bad things. Just wanted to see what made him tick. Maybe that was the direction that he was going to go. And that's why he was maybe intrigued by talking to Hitler. But on a global platform, you never, you don't say Hitler is in a positive light by any means whatsoever. You don't ever do that. Right. So it was a boneheaded decision. Granted, it was at 1 o'clock in the morning, so he's probably sipping on some whiskey or some bourbon or something, just kind of on his phone, messing around, see what was it in the right state of mind. You don't ever say that. Maybe it's something you talk about with your friends in a small circle. Maybe that was you don't ever say it out loud. Don't ever post it on the internet. Hitler wouldn't be my top choice, to be honest with you. I have no idea why you think about that. But I can see where I think he was trying to be provocative, or trying to be intellectual. I want to see what makes him think. But it wasn't a good decision, especially he is it was funny at the rollout of the New Jerseys. He was the only active player. It was Joe Theismann and Gary Clark and Brian Mitchell. They're all kind of rolling out the jerseys and the varsity jackets. He was the only active player there, so he's a steward of basically bringing in this new brand for us. So that wasn't a good look because this guy's in whatever. People blew it out. I mean, it was dumb. It was dumb. But Adam Schefter tweeting it and writing an article about it and all. I mean, come on. I think it's from what I understand, John Allen is a really good person. I've actually sent him a couple of DMs. I actually sent some DMs at one time, just asking him questions. He's never going to even answer me, but he answered me and things like that. I'm you know what? I generally think he's a hard worker and a good person. I don't think he had any bad intentions. It's just unfortunate that in this world, if you say 1 or 2 things, people will jump on you for it. And that's kind of I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but it just stinks that it happened,
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, the only thing I was really upset about was you have to read the room, bro.
You gotta read the room
as a leader of this organization.
That's true.
Then the heat that is already on this organization,
it's very easy to bring more heat on us. I agree. I agree.
And I guess if I had to think who I'd invite to dinner, I think I think Jack Kennedy would have been fun to drink with and have a good time. I would think Martin Luther King. I'd like to meet him.
That'd be a fantastic one. Okay.
I think he'd be a good time too. And we'd have an amazing speech afterwards.
He could you up. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, he said this tab is free at last. Somebody leave it there. But anyway, and then my third person, I think it would be I don't know who would be in this situation. whoever the president of the United States is
at the current time.
Yeah, you know what I'll say. I'd like to meet. And no, I don't care about his political leanings or anything like that. I'd like to meet Barack Obama, just because
Barack Obama he's high on my list too. Yeah,
he's an original, and he is, and what I mean original, he's somebody who hasn't looked like him. So I'd like to meet him instead. And, you know, he was in Congress. And Congress, see, segues. I love these segues, right? Congress. Again, Daniel Snyder, this man has investigated himself, then investigated himself, and then NFL, then Goodell is on the defense, like he's like a hockey defenseman, like his name's Carl Alsner or John Carlson. He's checking out. Does it make it like I'm standing? This is my team. We root for the front end. Does it give you like, daggone it, we just can't get this guy can't get out of your way? And two, do you think the writing is on the wall? Is it time to hit the button?
So this is where I'm at, right? So obviously, I'm not a big fan of Dan Snyder, obviously, right? I think he's run our organization into the ground. I think he definitely has done some really bad things. I think bad karma breeds this on. If you were a good person, there wouldn't be so many people attacking you over and over again over the years. And I do have people that have, I know people that have worked in the building, and I know people that have seen some bad things happening. And I just know that basically, I want to answer the question too. I'll go that route in a second too. But basically, you know, there's a lot of negativity with him. That being said, maybe I have a negative perspective on it, but I just think there's a lot. I think a lot of the owners are like this, man. I think it's a dirty club, dude. I think it's a dirty club of you know, a bunch of people that are billionaires. I think they're above the law and can do whatever they want, right? I think Irsay from the Colts, like he basically, if you actually Google him, some of like the really drunk, you know, DWI pictures that he has, and he's been like with like prostitutes and things like that. Cocaine. Robert Kraft, you know, with you know, he was doing that like rubbing tugs at the different at the Asian masseuse or whatever.
Official owner for Deshaun Watson.
I mean, there's been noted racism in different leaders and things like that, and they're all friends, man. They sit around and they're all billionaires and stuff like that. So I think they're all awful people, and I think there's ghosts in the closet that basically skeletons in the closet that haven't been released. I don't think Jerry Jones is absolved of any of this. I'm sure Jerry Jones has been doing a lot of really bad things, but we just don't know about it and things he put away. That being said, I think that the NFL is going to protect him. I think the NFL is going to basically try their best to basically try to hide him and try to maybe dodge it. But it is getting close, man. This is the one time where I think it might actually happen, because like for years and years, like, you know, they're never going to change the Redskins name. But then all of a sudden you're like, you know, things are starting to kind of heat up and you can kind of get that sense. And it's like, there's a lot of heat coming at Dan Snyder. It is a good old boys club. Yep. The thing that's frustrating though, is that like, I'm not saying the Commanders was a mess at all. Like I'm whatever. I'm going to roll with the team. I like the brand. Like I like the shirts and all that stuff. But it's like, if they're gonna get rid of Dan Snyder, they should have done it before the rebrand and started completely fresh without him. You know, they should have. They're acting too slow. They're a step behind. Like if Dan Snyder like makes him to the Commanders and gets taken away next year, I'm gonna be upset. I guess I'll be happy because Dan Snyder's gone, but I don't like that altogether. Like holistically, because we dropped the ball. We could have had a clean, fresh slate. We could have been something else. So I don't know about that, but do I think he's in it? If you're asking me, George, whatever it is. Binary George, you know, what is going to be yes or no? I'd say I think he's going to stay, man. I think he's going to beat it. The money talks, and I think they're going to do some settlements and everything's going to be all right. I mean, but that's not what I hope for. I hope he does get, I think right now we have a glass ceiling with basically Dan Snyder as our owner. Hopefully he either gets pushed so far into the corner, basically where he's just a figurehead, who's like writing checks, he's not really around. That'd be option one. Option two is he gets removed and someone else can take over for him. And, what people don't know this, or they might have forgotten about this, is, you know, in addition to the Cook family basically being in the running to buy the Redskins in 1999, the Lerners were basically had their hand in the pot too. The Nationals owners, they were some of the finalists to basically buy the team. And imagine how different that would have been to have the Lerners. You know, they're running the Nationals pretty well. They believe in a strong GM and things like that, and they basically have a well-run organization. Our 30-year trajectory would have been completely different. So we didn't miss out on that opportunity. So I don't know. What do you think, man? Do you think he's going to be knocked out? What do you think?
I have a theory here.
Okay.
And this could be, this has no, it's just like read it, like looking at things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he had anything to do with the name change. I think he didn't want to change it.
Oh no,
I
hell
think the
no.
NFL.
I agree
I
with
think
that.
and no, 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 no. I mean the selecting of the name.
Oh, you think so?
I think the NFL had a lot to do with this, and kind of going. And we can say this because this was said on your podcast last week. Jason Wright possibly, maybe, could be from the league office.
100%, 100%. Like there's like whispers and people that whatever. There's
right.
Mm-hmm. Like, dude, I think he was placed. I think Ron Rivera was. You better hire Ron Rivera. I think it was definitely like they're trying to revamp the Washington. Like they know it's a sinkhole in regards to money, and basically like they're strongly encouraged. Like I think that is a brotherhood, and I think they're like, yo, you should hire. Like maybe Jason Wright wasn't like assigned, but like you have a choice of 3 people. Pick one of these because they're going to change your brands. I do think it was like that.
I think
so.
I think it's very cookie cutter in that respect. And I think about it also, the debt waivers that he had to use to get
the team, 100%.
So they kind of own him in that regard right now because
that's true.
Like,
great point.
He's not that like for what his wealth, for most part, his net worth is built in the team.
100%.
You take it away.
100%.
He's not that wealthy like that. And like I said, this is just Corey's crackpot theory. And then I also said, what did Jerry Richardson do? What did Jerry Richardson do that was so much worse than what Dan Snyder done? I think it's both, but they didn't.
It's equal. I think Richardson got caught. I think didn't he actually physically get like videotaped or something? It's very, very similar. Very sexual harassment. He was very. I think Richardson also maybe had like racial epithets. I think he did too. Maybe that's like that was. I mean, those emails. I mean, that's the ace in the hole. Like I think, like sexual harassment's awful. It's awful, 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 awful. Right. But I think the nail in the coffin was if they're like in those like Jay Gruden emails, those Bruce Allen emails, if Dan Snyder said anything in regard to like racial insensitivity, I think he'd get lit up by that. I think, in my opinion.
I think there's just so many, and I'm kind of like with you. Do I think that something will happen? No. Am I hopeful? Absolutely. But I just think the way they protect each other, I'm hoping that this happens. But then again, if you get somebody else in here who, what's to say I don't think they're ever going to take the team out of Washington, right? But they want to get that new stadium. They talk to the NFL. They're like, you got to get rid of Snyder. And everything, like I feel like everything is breaking down over the last 3 to 4 years. You got rid of Bruce and that whole network. The name change came.
He was suspended and had to be put away for a couple months. I mean, there's a lot of writings on the wall for sure.
Tanya's the face. Dan isn't like, you don't see Dan at anything, but he's in the box, but you don't see him at much. He's looking scraggly, which I think that's just a PR stunt. Let's look homely, Mr. Snyder, and with the beard and everything. But he can never have great beards like you and I, my friend. But,
nah, man, not even close.
But before we wrap up here, George, I'm going to play a game with you here.
Sure.
It's called Should He Stay or Should He Go? I've got a list of. I might not go through all these guys, but I got a big list here. Okay. So should he stay or should he go? DeAndre Carter, should he stay or should he go?
Oh, 100% stays. One of my favorite, even one of my favorite players this year. I love DeAndre Carter a lot. And I think his versatility adds a lot. I think him as a kick returner and a punt returner, we actually had like a plus. We had a plus at the position. Typically, like it was a negative or someone that wasn't really that strong, but he was pretty well. I think he actually led the votes for Pro Bowl voting, even though like I think the coaches might have chose someone else above him. But he actually was a great player. He took one to the house this year too. Did he score a touchdown this year? I'm pretty sure he did.
Atlanta.
Okay, so he basically, I mean, he's a slot wide receiver. I thought so. DeAndre Carter was who Steve Sims should have been, in my opinion. So I think like he held it down. I like DeAndre Carter, and I think he'll be pretty cheap, and I think he'll want to come back. So do it.
He did what Curtis Samuel was over.
No, you want to go that route? Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. All right, I can see that too for sure.
I call Curtis Paul Richardson. He wears 10 and he's over.
Curse the number 10, man. Curse the number 10 for sure. For sure, man. Yeah, I got you.
Gunner? Adam Humphries. There you go. See, I threw you a softball. Now I'm going to start throwing a breaking ball at
Adam
you.
Humphries, I would say no. Okay, it would depend on. He actually was Mr. Third Down, man. I don't know if he actually
Exactly.
he would always catch the ball and always get the first down on third down. He was actually legit. I think he came with Fitzpatrick. I think he's going to probably want to leave because Fitzpatrick's not going to come back. I like Humphries. If he wants to come back, I wouldn't be mad about it at all. But I think wide receivers, you can find them. I would like to draft a wide receiver, and I'd rather go upside with Humphrey without Humphrey. So I'm like, you know what? Like for me, dream scenario, quarterback round 1, wide receiver round 2. Like, I think with that 42nd pick, you can probably still get a starter right there, and that'd be nice to kind of have some upside. That'd be kind of cool to have somebody, bigger, faster, stronger than Humphreys. Why not?
George, then this one will cause us to end the stream if you don't answer this one correctly.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, here we go.
John Bostic.
Obviously we should let John Bostic go, right? Is that the correct answer for you, man?
Oh no, the stream's over with John. No, I'm kidding. You're right. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, he's a solid player. He's a baseline. He's a Taylor Heineke of defense, is what he is, right? He basically is like an average player. He isn't really that elite. He's like, bottom third of the league, whatever. He's solid. He's a coach on the field, I guess, but like you can always do better. I'd rather draft for upside. That's what I'm kind of going for. I think, in a dream scenario for me, I think we should spend our free agent money on a veteran middle linebacker and put him in the middle and have Davis and Holcomb on the outside because I wouldn't mind getting a rookie like linebacker as well, but at the same time, having a vet will be nice because you can coach those young guys. Because Holcomb's a third-year player, Davis a second-year player. They're still kind of, young in the tooth. They can definitely develop more. So, I think I'd rather have a middle linebacker. What about you? Am I wrong with that? Like, that was a little prickly answer from you.
I like
You like Bostic?
I used to like John Bostic.
Got you.
I thought in 2020 he came up big in the games that they won. Apparently, this past year he was a scrub, and TLC was writing that song all about him. He's got to go this year. I'm done with him. I can't defend him, especially after the Chargers game, and he's just like, I'm like, why is he out there? Why are we doing
that was the first week of the season, dude? You're done with him already? Exactly. Okay, all right, interesting. Okay, damn. Okay,
Cornelius Lucas.
Okay,
I think he should stay because I love a veteran swing tackle.
That's what I was gonna say.
You can't find it.
The only knock on him would be his price tag. That's the only thing I would say. But if you can get something reasonable for him, he is a starter caliber tackle in either position. I don't think he's elite, but I think he's that Ty and Secchi guy that we kind of had a couple of years ago where he can kind of play both sides of the line. He's a solid starter. I like him. He's a little bit older, I believe. I think he's in his 30s, but like as a plug and play guy, why not? You need some depth on the line. We have money. I wouldn't be mad at that. Not at all.
I know you'll say yes to J.D. McKissick, so I'm not going to.
Oh, for sure. No, J.D. McKissick. Yeah.
Bobby McCain.
He's another. It depends on the draft. I mean, it's so tricky because it depends on the draft. Like, it's hard because free agency is before the draft. I say I would take McCain. I'll take him back because I do think he offers versatility. He plays the nickel back position. He's our true free safety. Once we started to figure things out and get that chemistry in the backfield, like the first couple of weeks of the season was a hot mess. We're getting those 75-yard touchdowns week after week. I think he figured it out. He can play center field. Is he elite? No. Is he a piece that we can plug in right now? Sure. Can we get him and then maybe draft another guy for more upside? Definitely. But it also depends on the free agent market. Like, I think the two Bengals safeties are actually to become free agents right now in the offseason. But, if they win the Super Bowl, they're going to go back there. But, it's all about price. But if he's a low-level price tag, I wouldn't mind it. Why not?
Okay. I'm going to give you these two guys who I think performed well in 2020, but they kind of a little bit fell off. But they had some spots this year. Tim Settle and Cam Sims.
Those are hard, man. So Tim Settle and Cam Sims. Okay. I guess with Settle, you basically have to figure out what you're gonna do with Pain and all the other ones, right? That's the building block there, or the domino there. I like Settle. I think Settle is a good player. I think Settle gets a lot of love because he's from Virginia Tech, and people kind of like, oh, he's an elite kind of thing. I think he's not as good as Deron Payne. If I was going to put money on, if I was going to spend money, I would actually keep Payne. I actually do like Payne. I wouldn't mind having him here. I think defensive tackles are easily replaceable positions. So if I'm being smart and I have to kind of like pick a player, I will let Settle go. And that's not going to be popular. Let Settle go. Try to get Payne back, but I don't think the relationship is there. I think Payne. I think it's bubbling behind the scenes that we don't really know about. I think Payne isn't really happy in Washington. I don't think he's really happy with Allen and being in the shadows of Allen. So if Payne goes, what's up, guys? What's up, Bird Gang?
What's up, Bird Gang?
So basically, yeah, that's both go. Okay.
Oh wow, Tommy T. Yeah.
Cam Sims, he's intriguing. I hated Cam Sims a couple of years ago. I was like, man, 2019, I was like, Cam Sims, like bum, like we can like he's all hype. He's that all hype team for like Alabama, all Ashburn. He's an all Ashburn team. Everyone loved him during training camp. but 2020, he held it down. So I actually thought he was I thought he was a pretty good player. It does depend on price. But I mean, I would take. I don't know, man. That's a hard one. it's a hard one, man.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, if he's dirt cheap, I would take Cam Sims. I would take him again because I do think he does have that big body. I think you can use him. I think if we had a real quarterback, like with a big arm, he would be a better player. So don't get the It's hard.
Alabama. He went to Alabama. I mean, his numbers at Alabama weren't that good either, but
he was he was a run blocker at Alabama. He wasn't really that elite there. Like, yeah. I mean, I'd rather improve, but there's so many factors that come into play, right? If we draft a wide receiver, if there's another free agent that comes out, that's true. Corey, what do you think? What do you think, Corey? I'm kind of curious. How do you feel about Cam Sims?
Cam Sims is the biggest enigma I have ever on this team in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. I don't know what he is. Like I don't know. He's this good. We'll see him the time when we played the Giants, right? And he runs for defense, and then he disappears, or have a good game like he did against Pittsburgh, or have that amazing catch for against Dallas like he had.
Yeah.
And I mean, it always seems like he showed up big in losing efforts too.
That's true.
Was another thing for me. Maybe Ron didn't play him right. I don't
think he was played right, to be honest. I'm not saying he's a leader, but I don't think Ron played him right. But go ahead.
Scott didn't play him right.
Yeah, Scott didn't play him well.
Play him right. So I think maybe that has a little bit to do with it. I mean, he's been here for 4 years. It may be an opportunity for him to go out there and see if somebody realizes his talent, and then we'll be on Twitter in November saying, "Man, we could have had this Cam Sims." So I like Tim Settle. I think he's a good role player, right? And if the price is right for Cam Sims, I like him. I'd like to see him back here on maybe a 1-year deal again and see if they. But I don't know if he wants to do that again. Pretty Ricky
Seals Jones. I love it. I love that nickname. I call him Pretty Ricky too. I love that, man. People that love R&B, it's all Pretty Ricky is great. I love Pretty Ricky. He can go, man. I mean, we need another tight end. I mean, yeah, we need another tight end. So Logan Thomas, I don't know. We'll see if he's even ready at the beginning of the year. So we'll see how that kind of shakes out. John Bates showed a little something. I do like him. I don't think he's actually like a super dynamic guy. I think he's more of like an inline, like on end of the offensive line kind of tight end, but that's solid. And maybe it's time to let Sammy Reyes, man, let him fly a little bit. Did really kind of see the upside over there at tight end. So we already have 3. Yeah. We don't need to be spending a lot of money on Ricky Seals Jones. Maybe draft a tight end or maybe get another one. But like he was serviceable. He held it down, but I don't think he's anything special. I think he's another guy that you can find. So we can let him go.
We are a John Bates friendly podcast here.
Bates held it down, dude.
Dude, I loved him when I read about him and I kind of looked at some of his tape at Boise State. Now he's got brick feet, but the dude can catch. He can catch, and I was like, this is going to bode well at the next level.
Yeah.
I think he has the potential. He's not built like this because my boy Tim is going to get on me when I say this, but his career path could be very similar to 85 in San Francisco. Why I say this is because he comes out of nowhere.
Okay.
He just goes and lights the league on fire. He's just got to stay healthy though. Last one. I got two more for you. I got Troy.
Yeah, it's a good question, man. Go ahead.
Troy Apke, should he stay or should he go?
Troy Apke can go, dude. He should have been gone a couple of years ago. Trapke, dude, get out of here, dude. Trapke, dude. Yeah, he can run. I mean, get out of here, dude. He's cool as hell. Though. I'm not gonna lie. I actually basically got to meet him up close at training camp, and like I'm one time, Corey, when we hang out, I have a friend named David Piscineri. He's wild. He's like he's just like he's on like I'm a chill dude. He's like level 15. Like, I take Dave with me because Dave will like yell at players and stuff. And he was like, Troy Apke, you could run. Like, what's up? He's like calling him white chocolate. So I'm like, oh my god, like so embarrassed. And basically, Troy Apke loved it, man. Troy Apke was like, yeah, man, I can run, dog. Like he's like kind of run his mouth. Like Troy Apke's a cool dude. Yeah, run for us. But I was like, but he's a good, I guess they love him on special teams, but he's replaceable. He is a liability on the field. And it's like, if you're going to be dressing on his 53, you got to play football, man. So we can let him go. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. He runs like Forrest Gump, but he covers like him too, apparently.
It's true.
Yeah. So last one. Number 75.
Okay.
Number 75, Brandon Sheriff. Should he stay? Should he go? We kind of alluded to it early on, but I'll give you my take on Brandon Sheriff.
Go ahead.
I think that his durability has caused him to be a liability now. And you can't I personally think if you wanted to be here, you would be here. You would have signed something a couple years ago. You want to milk the process. I think he backed into that All-Pro award. Nati is going to get me up the road for keep on saying this, but that's just what it is with him. And I think at this point he's he'll be 31
31
for an off-injured guard, man. He's a luxury that you can't afford.
I agree. You nailed that.
You look at the Chiefs, right? Joe Thuney's one of the best guards in football. He's not an All-Pro. He does
John Allen in that that late night rant. He basically was like, "Who's the best player that I played against?" He said Thuney. He said he mentioned him a couple of times, even going back to college. So he did check the receipts. It was actually pretty cool. Like I was actually interested in me. So yeah, man, I agree with you. I think I don't value guards that high. And I know that's kind of a provocative take on Twitter and stuff like that. The one like in regard to pass blocking, guards can be hidden by a great center and a great tackle. You can basically have some support there and kind of pass it along. You'll be fine. Where Brennan Sheriff shines and where great guards shine is basically on like pull blocking and screens and just being mobile. So that would be a loss for him, but we've proven to survive it over the past couple of years. And I think you can get a guard like in the third round that could actually start, or maybe get a $10 million guard or $8 million guard as opposed to a $20 million guard, and basically the drop off wouldn't be too bad. I think it's a bad asset allocation by basically spending on Brendan Sheriff, especially if he's like playing hardball, doesn't want to be here. If he's like, I want to build a culture, he's a good culture guy, but he's like, if I want to be here and help out Ron Rivera, then all right, then we could work with you. But if you're like, I'm going to hold out and all that, dude, get out of here. Like we've been working with you, bending over backwards for you, and we want you here, but you're not doing your part. So whatever. $20 million for a guard. You can get Amari Cooper makes $21 million, right? You can get a starting wide receiver, or you can get an elite quick. I think William Jackson. Maybe I shouldn't use William Jackson, but basically there's cornerbacks that go for like 10, 12 million a year. There's Curtis Samuels was $13 million a year. Like we can get offensive weapons or skill player positions for that price. I wouldn't drop it on the guards. That's my position on him. Yep.
William Jackson, PI. That's not private investigator. That is pass interference.
100%, bro. 100%.
Jeff Jackson's and him getting flagged for pass interference. George, bro, this has been fun. Tell the people where they can find you. Tell them anything you've got coming up here.
All right, thanks, man. So, Corey, first of all, it was a blast, man. An hour and 20 minutes, it flew by. It's like talking to a best friend, man. It was a really easy conversation. So, yeah, man. So, I'm George Carmi. You can find me at Carmi21 on Twitter. I'm on there all the time. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love talking football. Don't be afraid to hit me up because I'll definitely respond to you. I love it, man. Basically, I write for Full Press Coverage. Commanders, like our handle is at FBC_Commanders. You can find me there. That's another one of my handles. I have an upcoming article. I actually did one, as Corey alluded to, top 5 offensive players in the game. I'm going to do a top 5 defensive players for Full Press Coverage coming up in the next couple of days, probably on Saturday. Wake up in the morning, knock it out. I also host the Full Press Commanders podcast. I love doing it. I got to find some consistent days, but it's whenever my guests line up. But I try to aim for about 2 podcasts a week, as I try to do, and definitely follow. I have a YouTube channel there, and if you actually go to my Twitter handle, I have a link tree where you can find all my stuff. So definitely take a look at that. I love doing it, man. Love talking Washington football. Love talking NFL. So hit me up anytime.
Yeah, and all his link to his Twitter is in the description at the bottom. Also, you guys go subscribe to Full Press, soon to be Commanders, on YouTube, and there's some good things over there. But one of the best in the business, George Carmi. Y'all, appreciate you, George. Don't forget, we will be here 6 o'clock on Sunday. Something about drugs and Super Bowl. I think that's what they call it.
It's going a different direction with the podcast. Okay, gotcha.
We'll be here for the Super Bowl. Come and join us. We'll have a good time. Toothpick will probably be here, Paulie and all those guys. So check us out, y'all. But as always, I appreciate everything. Everybody that came through today, I appreciate it. I'm not going to name because I will forget everybody on there. But thank you. You guys are helping us build this into something big. 3,000. We're on the way to that. Giveaway is coming when we hit it. But as always, I say here, keep that same damn energy. We'll outlast the bastards together, and don't give up till a miracle happens. Maybe that's with one Daniel M. Snyder. Don't know. Pray tell. But just wrap it up, and we will. I'll talk to you on Saturday. As always, St. Charles 405. George Carmi. Love, peace, and hell. Till next time, folks. Guess what? We